Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Dharma Junkie podcast. On this episode, I'm joined by my friend, Madeline Finn. Maddie is a Buddhist meditation instructor and singer-songwriter that currently lives in Nashville, Tennessee. We met a few years ago while we were both going through the Wild Heart Meditation Center Facilitator Training Program, and we became pretty good friends. In fact, on this episode, we come to find out that we have even more in common than we realized. We talk a lot about envy and jealousy, we talk about the music business, and the competitive nature of those things. And if you're in the Nashville area, be sure to check out Maddie's half-day workshop on envy and jealousy at Wild Heart Meditation Center on February 25th. You can sign up at wildheartmeditationcenter.org. And if you're in the Pensacola area, I'm going to be hosting a half-day retreat based around the core teachings of the Buddha on April 8th, and you can sign up for that at gulfcoastdharma.org. Also, if you're a fan of this podcast and enjoy any of the interviews that I put out or any of the Dharma talks that I post to the podcast feed, all of my work as a podcaster and a Buddhist meditation instructor is all donation-based. So if you feel like you gained something from any of these episodes or Dharma talks, you can donate via Venmo at Gulf Coast Dharma. Thanks for listening, and without further ado, Madeline Finn.
You might catch yourself sliding in and out of a hallucinatory state. Just relax and enjoy it. Just relax and enjoy it.
This is an experiment in mind formation. Information. Forming, controlling, operating your mind and your brain. Using digital techniques to overload, scramble, confuse, unfocus your mind. The natural state of the brain is chaos. Chaos is beautiful.
Madeline Finn, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
I am well. How you been?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been a busy day, a busy week. There's so many dogs barking in my life right now. Several dogs, which I'm hoping he'll calm down. But this is Duca, right?
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Hey, I see. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's George.
Everyone say hello to George.
Hi, Georgie.
So what you been up to, man?
Not a ton. We just took over, Roy and I just took over the Wednesday nights over at Wild Heart. So we've been facilitating there. And then I'm doing my first half-day retreat, which is wild to think about. You know what I mean? Like after like being in training for 3.5 years, you're like, whoa, it's time to do, I guess I got to do the thing now.
Right. That part. Yeah, for sure.
That whole thing. So yeah, getting ready for that, touring, playing music, working.
Yeah, how's the music thing going?
It's great. Things are good. Things are busy in a great way. So
awesome. That's great.
Yeah, all good things.
What do you got coming up?
I've got a show in Cleveland on the 16th of this month, doing like a writers round in Cleveland that normally goes very well. And then in March, we've got some full band stuff going on. So no crazy tours or anything, just hanging out.
Right on. So for people who don't know you and aren't really familiar with you, you want to just give them a little bit of background?
Yeah. Okay. My name is Madeline Finn. My friends call me Maddie. I am mainly a singer-songwriter, full-time musician here in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm about 8 years in recovery from anorexia, and while I was in treatment, I found meditation, which led me down a rabbit hole of seeking and abundance and all that stuff. And then I moved to Nashville and was like, where can I meet other people who are into this like higher consciousness, develop things, and found Wild Heart Meditation Center, which is so not that. It's so much more than that. And it's really Dharma centered. And that's where I found the Dharma. And then something just kind of sucked me in, and I just haven't gone back. And I've been practicing here with Wild Heart for about 4 years almost.
Right.
So
yeah. So I've known you for about 3.5 years now.
Yeah.
Crazy. It is crazy. And what a insanely moving experience the whole thing was,
Mhm.
you know, like
Yeah,
it
for
was
sure.
just like I feel like it was just such a beneficial thing. Like not only did we, learn how to facilitate and do the groups and stuff like that, but like just learning like who I am as a person throughout the process was
Yeah.
pretty interesting, you know.
Yeah. It was it's hard too because I think when you start to be cast in this light of like facilitating, there's so much more responsibility to maintain your own practice and to maintain your own like precepts and that kind of stuff too.
Right.
So
Yeah, you
it's
have
a big
to
adjustment.
you have to be the face basically. It's like, well, if I'm
Yeah.
going to be teaching this stuff in any capacity and instructing and whatever, like I need to be doing the thing actively. Otherwise, I'm just going to come across as full of shit.
Exactly. Like this afternoon, like literally probably 20 minutes before this, I was having, so I'm doing my workshop is literally on mudita for musicians. It's about how can we like not be in competition and comparison with each other 24/7, and how can we like feel joy in other people's success in this industry.
Right.
And I literally 20 minutes before this, there's a singer-songwriter I follow who got on this huge tour, and my brain was just like, oh, why did I not get on this
Why not
tour? Why?
me?
Yes, right. Why not me? Why not me? And then I had to go, wait, Maddie, you're doing an entire half day retreat on mudita. Like
Right.
it's time to practice what you preach. So yeah, I feel like the overall necessity to actually live the Dharma more than just regurgitate it is
Right.
huge.
Well, it's funny. I actually just gave a talk on envy and jealousy on Monday,
Hmm.
and because it's funny, having gone through, been a part of this practice, been doing this for many years now. I'm kind of like you. I started just with meditation, and then the Dharma kind of came later for me. But having done this for a while now, it's like I can watch the patterns of the mind, and I can watch the mind do these things, and I'm actively aware, like in real time, that it's happening. But it doesn't like really make it less
Yes.
happen less.
Yes.
It's like it's just like, oh, there's the brain doing that thing again,
Hmm.
and then I can kind of work with it a little bit. But
Yeah. It's like not taking that personally has been huge. Like,
I still struggle with that. Like,
yes,
quite
no, it's
honestly.
super hard. It's
Like
super
I
hard.
still have like envy issues. Like I get envious. I'm like, especially like I'll be honest, like I get envious of all you guys up in Nashville because I'm like, I want to be a wild heart. Like
Yeah, right? You want to be here, you want to do the thing.
right.
No, it's so interesting how the things that have helped me the most with it have number one, I was talking to my wife about this, just being able to see, like cultivating that insight and cultivating that wisdom to be
Right.
able to see when it's happening, and like understanding that this is a mark of being a human, this is a mark of existence, that like things are imperfect and things are impersonal.
Right.
So it's like, okay, can I use this functioning of the mind, this conditioning of the mind to be jealous and envious, and can I just see it as a function of the mind instead of spinning? I did a talk last night on equanimity and like how the worldly wins. It's just so important to have balance and evenness in these moments so we can just remember that, like remember the teaching, right?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, but what I really found was interesting is like doing just my research, writing the talk on envy and jealousy that I did this past week, is that a lot of times, envy and jealousy are really rooted in insecure attachment, so it all
Mhm.
goes back to childhood stuff and like,
Mhm.
unpresent caregivers and not consistent caregiving. And it's like, it's like, so it's not
Yeah,
really like our fault, you know,
exactly.
and it's more nurture than nature in that aspect,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. No, I think it's the, and just as somebody, so I grew up as an only child with a single parent,
Same,
and I've been performing my literally my entire life. Like
same.
I've been a singer-songwriter, career singer-songwriter since I was like 19 and dropped out of school. Like
Nice.
that's what I've been doing. And so I have always like felt this level of envy and jealousy baked into almost everything I do,
Oh yeah.
because it's just crazy conditioning and nurture, like you said. Like it's just this like how we're raised. It's like
Right.
if I wanted any sort
I need
of,
attention.
yes, if I wanted attention, I had to do the thing I was good at.
Right.
And if I'm not getting attention, that means I'm not doing the thing. I'm not doing what's, it's just a total, am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Oh yeah. Fuck yeah.
Oh, it's a total mind fuck. It's a total mind fuck. And so yeah, so like it's been so helpful for me to just say those things, like remember, it's not my fault.
Right.
It's not my fault that I'm experiencing jealousy and envy, and everybody experiences jealousy and envy
Right.
in one
To
way
some
or
degree.
another.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't imagine. There's people who say that they don't, and I don't know, do you believe that there are people who don't experience any jealousy and envy?
I mean, maybe, but that's not been my experience. Like,
Yeah.
even just in my interactions with people, I don't think I've ever met anybody who's like actually not jealous, like, or envious
Mhm.
at some point. I think it's something that we can work through. Like
Yeah.
I'm saying, we can work with these things, but I feel like everybody has a touch of it, right? Some of it's just
Right?
a little more than others. I come from a music background too. Like I've been playing music my whole life, and
Yeah.
I toured and did that thing for several years until I just got burned out and drank too
Mhm.
much and was like, I can't
Yeah.
do this anymore. But that
Mhm.
was like my big story then too, was like, just the envy thing. Like, oh well, why
Yeah.
are they getting these opportunities and I'm not getting these opportunities?
Yep. What's wrong with me?
Yeah, are they better than me?
Yeah.
What's wrong with me?
Are they better than me? I've always found that it goes into one of two things. It either, for me, envy and jealousy either spins me into like, why am I not enough?
Right.
Or ill will.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's either this deep depressive, there's not enough, or fuck you. The only reason you got that was because of XYZ.
Right.
And it's so interesting to like watch the mind do these things, because like you said, you've been doing this long enough to be able to see when these things show up. But I think the real practice of mudita and bringing in this heart practice of it is such a way. It's like a good way to know what to do
Yeah.
with what you're finding. So
Sure.
it's like when the mind experiences jealousy, instead of shitting on it and just being like, well, that's the mind, you can actually be like, okay, mind, where is this hurt coming from?
Right. What do you need right
Where,
now?
yes, what do you need? How can I be here? It's compassion.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
Yeah. So for like what I've come to like my big realization with envy and jealousy is that like it shows up as greed. It's rooted in greed, shows up as hatred, and then is born of ignorance. It's like
Yeah.
it's right there. Boom.
Boom. Bingo. Bingo. And that's the thing about the Dharma. The more that I, do these talks, like we've been talking about the 3 marks of existence, and the more that I do these talks, the more that I realize it's just all so deeply woven together.
Right, that's it.
Like,
Like really,
it's-
everything goes back to that. Like
It all comes
things.
back to the marks of existence. It all comes back to the heart practices. It all comes back to each other. It's this, yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, this is gonna be like a total nerd podcast for sure. This is like the biggest Dharma nerd podcast I've done.
Yes, I had a feeling it was going to end up being that way. How could it not be?
I wouldn't have it any other way, honestly. Like,
I know.
I'm trying to get Mikey to do one with me, and he's like, "Oh yeah, sure."
Yeah, yeah. He's so that would be super Dharma nerd.
Oh yeah, for sure. I need to get him and Andrew on here to argue about the aggregates.
Oh my gosh, you'll have to have 3 episodes for that.
I know
'cause
it'll
they're
take
just
forever.
gonna keep talking about it.
It'd be
But
like
yeah.
like a Joe Rogan podcast. It'd be like 6 hours long.
But about the aggregates, man, sign me up. I'm here to listen to that.
Yeah, you and like 3 other people. That'd be about it.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
yeah. So like, what got you into music? Have you always played music? Like, did you start young, or like what was the impetus behind that?
That's a good question. So it's funny, like, being a musician, being in this, I have my story of how it all happened. When I was a kid, I just kind of showed an affinity for it. And so there were like these groups within school of like gifted in music, gifted in art, and you could like, they would fund music lessons for you if you were like showed interest and had some like gifted whatever. And so I took piano lessons through the school, hated it, stopped playing. And then around like 12, we had an opportunity in our youth group in church to play music. And so that's where I kind of jumped back into it. So I've always loved it since I was a kid, but I really started doing it when it became an opportunity with church. So I was a worship leader.
Okay.
I did worship stuff with my youth groups in high school and middle school, and like into like later high school, I was actually on like the adult worship teams, and like that was my whole plan, was to lead worship. That was it.
Right.
And so I cut my teeth doing that and being in Christian rock bands, and then I came out, which didn't really
Didn't
go
go over,
super
yeah, I
well.
can imagine that didn't go over very well.
And I had to find a new outlet for music.
Mm.
And so I started just doing my own thing, writing for other people. And we have this big in Ohio. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and we have the Tri-C High School Rock Off, which is like this big battle of the bands for high school kids. And we entered, like I entered with some of my original songs with some friends, and we ended up winning, which was like I was the first female to ever win
Oh wow.
the competition in 2011. Which like it's been going on since the 90s, and I was the first female fronted act to ever win. And so then from there I just was like, I guess I'm good at this, so I just kept going. And it really like came to a head when I joined a pop punk band right in the first year of college, because I decided to go to school and I was in school.
Where did you go to school at?
Kent State University.
Oh, wow.
And so it was in my first year at Kent State, and there was this like kick-ass pop punk band that said, hey, we need a new singer. Do you know anybody? And I said, I can sing. And so I started singing for them, and it was like a snowball. It just like kind of took off. We had no idea it was going to do as well as it did. So it took off. It got to the point where I had to decide if I wanted to stay in school or if I wanted to tour. And like any 19-year-old, I wanted to tour. So I dropped out of school and I toured full time with this pop punk band. And like, it's awesome. I love it. Like still pays my car pay. Like it's huge. Like it's become its own entity. Like it's called Envoy, ENVOI, if you ever want to look it up. But it's just like intense pop punk. And much like you, as I was on tour, it just wrecked me. Like wrecked my body, wrecked my mind. I was drinking a ton, and it kind of led me to engage more in my eating disorder, which landed me in treatment, you know? Yeah. And then, you know, when I got out, it was kind of had fallen apart. And so I decided I was going to do something else music wise. So I started writing my own songs and singing my own songs, and it's kind of spun into what it is now. So yeah, it's my full-time job now, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's super great, man. I'm glad you're able to do what you feel passionate about, you know? Like,
yeah, you know, but the more you do it, and especially being in this this Dharma space, the more I'm able to see how much self is in that. Like there's a lot of selfing in music for me. Yeah. And that's been a big part of my practice, is like, and why I wanted to do the mudita thing for musicians specifically, because I think it's just this particular brand of suffering that is so
intense.
Yeah, it's so intense.
So intense. Like,
and there's it's insidious. Yeah, I always like to say it's really insidious. And so like I think a big part of my practice of learning to take the self out of music and like learn to be okay with where I'm at and grateful for what is happening and where I'm at and all this stuff. It's about a part of that practice is sharing that with other folks. So
very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So, yeah, touring's rough, man. That shit. Yeah,
fuck touring.
Yeah, that shit destroyed me. I was sleeping in the back of an Astro van for like 3 years. It was terrible.
Yep. I'm lucky that now like we get the hotel rooms and that kind of stuff, but I've never done any bus tours or anything. And it's so funny because you just like, as a musician, you sit with the shit and hope that you'll get a better thing. And it's just, what's that Pima Chodron quote about like abandon hope? Like you can put abandon hope on your fridge instead of like every day I'm getting better and better, because it's just this like yeah, it's another form of craving. It's another form
like
of
throwing
clinging.
shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, right? Like,
yeah,
look, this works.
Yeah, it's another form of craving and clinging to be successful in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, so that's like my music journey and how it's kind of I'm really excited that my two loves are starting to kind of come together in music and Dharma.
It's beautiful.
Like the fact that they're melding together, I'm like, yes, this is it.
Yeah,
this feels awesome. Good. This feels right.
So when exactly is the half day that you're doing?
The half day is on February 25th. It's a Saturday from noon to 4 at Wild Heart in Nashville. But I've had a lot of people asking about an online option, so I think maybe I'll do that within like, a couple weeks from it or something. But that's when it's happening.
Sweet. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, it's such a needed thing, just
Yeah.
because as we've talked about for the bulk of this episode so far, like it is so insidious. Like envy is just such an insidious thing, because there's distinct differences between envy and jealousy, but really we're talking about envy. But that missing something that you don't have that somebody else has. It's like, oh, why don't I have that thing? Why don't I get the opportunities? Why didn't I get to play that festival? Why didn't I get that tour?
Yeah.
And it just eats away at you, and it just eats away at you, and like it's so hard to keep going. It's so hard to just keep going, especially in the music industry, because it's such a dog eat dog industry anyway. And you're competing with all your peers and your friends, and it's
that's
like
what it feels like. Yeah. And that's what they want us to do.
Right.
That's what the industry is built for.
And you want, and the fucked up part about it is, and I feel like this with like anything I do really is like, I want to watch my friends succeed. I want my friends to be successful because I love my friends. But at the same time, there's that like nagging little ego part that's like, why wasn't it you? Why don't you get that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you stop? Would you quit?
Yeah, it's exhausting. It's fucking exhausting. I remember that there was like a distinct moment that I experienced envy. So because like you said, there's distinct differences between envy and jealousy. The way that I've seen it is envy is where's mine, and jealousy is you took it from me.
Right. Or you're going
you're going to take it from me. Yeah. Right. And so the first time I had been in my practice for at least a year, maybe a little longer, and had already learned so much about mudita, but I didn't really apply it. I was still in the stage of my Dharma practice where I was like learning these things and just trying to like keep up and like
digest it all.
Yeah, digest it, that I hadn't really put a lot of the practice into like everyday stuff. It was more like on the cushion, I'm meditating, and then I'm done. So it hadn't really I hadn't seen many fruits from the practice yet. And I remember I was on my 1-year anniversary trip with my now wife, but it was our first anniversary of like being girlfriends. And we had rented this nice Airbnb in this place it was called Tuscany in Tennessee.
That's fun.
It's cute, but it's like a little vineyard in the middle of Tennessee, which is like, it was just so podunk and awesome. It was like very camp. And we were there, and it was supposed to be this really mindful, lovely time. And I remember I was scrolling through social media.
Yeah, first mistake.
And so I scrolled through social media, and a particular singer-songwriter here in town, who I'm not going to name, but who is like also queer and is also like kind of in the same vein as me. Like we have a very similar style.
Right.
Brandy Carlisle reposted this person. And I was like, it was insane. It was insane. Like it was like slow motion, like, no. And number one, so this started happening. I started sobbing. I was just like, why do I fucking suck so bad? Like, why am I not good enough for this and all this other stuff? And then I started to realize like, oh, like this is dukkha.
Yeah, this is
like this is the second arrow.
Right.
This is it.
This is deeper than that. Yeah.
Exactly. And so this is when I was like, that moment in particular, I was like, I need to get serious about this mudita stuff, because I know my own values and I know my own heart.
Right.
And in my own values and in my own heart and in this you've heard Mary Stankiewicz talk about like the undefended heart, right? Like in this undefended heart that I feel like truly is my nature. I want people to succeed. Like I want everyone to do well. There is enough room. Yeah. And it's, and I can be happy with what comes, and my happiness doesn't rely on what status I have or what, famous people are reposting me, all these things. Right. And so it was just this moment where I was like, okay, Like, it's time to really dig into this. And so I did. Like, from that moment on, every time I would scroll on social media, this was part of my mudita practice. Anytime that would happen, I would scroll, and if I found something that triggered a thought of jealousy or envy, I would say the mudita phrases. I would just say it towards this person. I would just give mudita, and then I'd move on. And it's been really pretty life-changing.
Yeah.
Because we're inclining the mind towards mudita.
Right.
And when this happens, having that be your instant thing to be like, oh.
I feel like we've said mudita a lot, and I don't think we've actually addressed
mudita. Yeah. Mudita is one of the 4 Brahma Viharas, or the divine abodes of the heart. I'm trying to think. I probably have my elevator pitch for mudita somewhere, but it's literally it's translated most of the time, and I don't know if you have the same translations, but what I've always thought of it as is sympathetic joy, or non-appreciative joy, non-attached appreciation, and gratitude are kind of all facets of mudita.
I really like that Dalai Lama quote, like, if you only take joy in your own joy, then you're missing 7 billion other opportunities to be happy.
Oof. Tattoo that on my forehead.
Right. For sure. Yeah. Oh God. But yeah, it's so like I said, it's so difficult still, because it's like, even with the practice, like, you can still get caught up.
Oh yeah.
I notice myself getting caught up with it all the time. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah. Like me 20 minutes ago, literally 20 minutes ago. And I'm, facilitating a half-day retreat on this. It's just like, but that's the beautiful part of it, is like, the practice of mudita is like, you're never done.
Right. Yeah.
You're never
done.
Lifelong
journey. Yeah.
It's a lifelong thing, just like the Dharma.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
You had mentioned Mary Stancabbage and the undefended heart, and I feel like the true self, not the non-self, not anatta, not self.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
The true, the core of who you are. I think, like, everybody really wants everyone to succeed, and we just pile all this shit on top of it. Like, we have very similar backgrounds. We both grew up only children with single parents, and so we have.
You grew up with an only child, really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I'm fucked up too.
Yay.
So I feel like we can connect a lot on this topic, because it's like, it shows up for us both in, I think, a lot of the same ways, because we have a lot of the same kind of attachment wound stuff going on,
Yeah.
So I feel like I really have connected with you through this conversation almost more than I was able to during the training that we did together.
No, totally.
Because I didn't know that about you, and that's something that I learned over the course of this interview. And so it's like, wow. So you went through the same shit that I went through, I had a bunch of other stuff piled on top of that, trauma-wise, but at the core of our being, I think we're all just love, right? And then we just put up these barriers, and we guard the heart, and we get these protection mechanisms put in place that just be like, fuck you, and like, and I don't want to be like, fuck you, it's, I want to be like, I love you.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing, like, when we have, and that's why I think, again, like, it's so important to have those 2 wings of awakening, like the insight side and the heart side, because when you can see it, like, wait a minute, I don't want to say fuck you, like, I want to love you. You can suss out what's actually in alignment with who you want to be and who at the core you are. It's a whole thing. I think it really comes down, it's not even fuck you, it's more like fuck me. What I mean? You can't see it, but I'm pointing. Like, yes. Right. That's because I wonder, and this could be off book or whatever, but like, do you think that's an only child thing?
I think it's an insecure attachment wound thing. I think it just creates a lot of negative self-view, low self-esteem, and then that in turn feeds our envy and our jealousy.
Yeah. Because it always turns into fuck me.
So yeah,
like all the time.
I think it probably more present in only children, because we didn't have 2 caregivers. So there's obviously going to be times where there's not a present caregiver. I grew up in the latchkey generation of the 80s. It's like, go outside, drink out of the water hose, fuck off.
Yep.
And mom worked a lot. Dad wasn't around ever. And my grandmother pretty much raised me, and she was like very physically present but emotionally absent. So it's like, nah.
Yeah.
So, I get all this fun baggage later in life that I get to work
So fun
through.
for
And
you.
yeah, it's awesome. It keeps me busy.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I have plenty of stuff to do.
Plenty of things to work on.
I actually
Oh,
just got out of a counseling appointment with somebody. So like
nice.
right
Look
before
at
we
you.
did this. Yeah. Yeah.
We love
Yeah.
therapy.
Trying to do the work, trying to do
I'm
the deep work.
you're doing it. You're doing it. That's been my work too. It's been it's been a lot.
Yeah.
It's been a lot.
It can be a lot. It can be heavy.
Yeah.
So do you have anything else like you're planning coming up as far as like retreats are going like concerned or like
I'm
music
actually,
wise?
I mean, I'm actually doing A Year to Live with Mary Stankiewicz
Oh yeah. Yeah.
this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. I've never done it. I've like read through the book on my own, but it's kind of, I don't know. I'm getting to this point. So I turned 30 this year in December, and I'm kind of at the point now where I'm like, I think I'm just ready to kind of like let go of this striving piece of me that I've had for so long, like needing to know, like, am I going to succeed in music? Am I going to do this? It's
Right.
all been a lot of bawitanha, which is craving to become.
Yeah.
So I'm really feeling very ready to let go
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, and I hope that it's like a year long
Yeah.
online
Yeah. It's
course
a year long, like once a
of
month
like,
meeting. Yeah.
yeah,
I've
and you
checked it out.
literally are like, I'm like, you live your life as if you have a year to live, and
I'm doing it too.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm already signed
you're
up.
doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be right there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, are you in the course too?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Best day. Yes, let's do it.
Yeah. We will
Hell yeah.
continue our journey together
I love it.
as only children.
As only children with a year to live.
With a year to live. Yeah, for sure. No, I'm really excited about it. Actually, I just was emailing Mary yesterday. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Cool.
I signed
I'm
up
so
like a
pumped.
couple weeks ago, something like that.
Oh my gosh, I'm so pumped that we're
I
gonna
think
be
you're.
in
I think
that
you're
together.
also. I'm. Did you say you were doing like a year of meta practice? Is that what you're doing as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't know. We're just so synced up, man.
Something saying I had I had a retreat that I went on. I went on a queer retreat in November, and I realized how much I had been averse to self-love and self-compassion. And because when you get to the stage in Dharma nerddom and you start talking about anatta or not self,
Right.
you almost feel guilty. At least I don't know if that's been your experience, but to like really give genuine self-love and self-care and nurture
Mm.
feels a little like, well, what self? It just gets
Right.
a little messy.
I think
And
I
so I've
saw.
had to,
I think I saw something. Doug's Dharma. I think Doug did a talk about just that pretty
yeah,
recently. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna go watch it. You gotta send it to me.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah, so I'm doing a year of my like main practice is just self love and self nurturing and
That's
all
awesome.
day metta.
Yeah, same. And I'm doing that because, and it comes right back to the main topic of your half day that's coming up, because I really feel like even mudita, is impossible unless you are able to really love the self first, because all the Brahma
Yeah.
Viharas are all rooted in metta. So
Exactly.
if we don't love ourselves, we can't really fully love and appreciate other people. Like it's so hard to feel genuine joy for other people
Mhm.
if we don't feel genuine gratitude and joy for ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's which I'm kind of glad for, because if I won't do it for myself, then maybe I'll do it for others.
I know we got to do it for ourselves though.
Yeah, I feel you.
And I think that's the hardest part though.
Yeah.
For me at least, I
Yeah.
don't know about you. When I first started doing meta practice, like it was like just saying the phrases, and
Hmm.
we've talked about this before, I'm sure. I think if
Yeah.
everybody say this, it's like just kind of forcing the phrases at first. And now it's not like that. But
Yeah.
at first,
Yeah,
when I first
it's
started doing Brahma Vihara practice, when I started doing meta, like, oh, get out of here with that.
yeah. No, that was me. And I think the thing I'm running into now is my concentration practice is so pleasant.
Mm.
Like it's so pleasant to just sit and watch my breath now that I kind of like miss it when I'm doing metta, because it turns into but metta in itself has a concentration element to it, so it's like finding that balance. But yeah, it's definitely a forced phrase kind of vibe. But I mean, it was my wife, like, I got married last April, and I was really struggling with self-care and self-love. And so what I ended up kind of deducing is that I had to love myself in order to properly love her and like
Yeah.
be wholeheartedly in this marriage. And so again, that's like kind of what I mean when I say like if I didn't do it for me, like I didn't start doing self-love so that I love myself more. I did it so that I could be a better friend and a better spouse. And
It's beautiful.
you know, yeah. And then in the process, I've learned to do it for me, which is great.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. And it's kind of the same story with me. It's like I just want to be more present, with my
Mm-hmm.
partner and with my friends, and I just, I want to be more just genuine, and as I
Yeah.
said, I feel like at our core, we are just love,
Yeah.
We just got to cut through all the conditioning and all the
That's
bullshit we
it.
put up,
You know, love is it. The more I think about all of it, the more that I just like come back to like love is this like, folks talk about like universal consciousness and folks talk about like all of the, like the divine and that kind of thing, which I still, my religious trauma doesn't
Yeah.
sit well, but the more I think about it, the more I think that that's just love,
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know?
So, are you going to sit any retreats this year?
I hope to. I don't have any on the books yet. Do you have any ideas?
Well, I can send you some options. I mean, they're probably they're going to be at the Kelly Center and around that area.
Okay.
I'm also going to go sit at another 10-day this year. Go another
At Goenka?
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe I'll come to that one.
You should
I need
definitely. You should.
I need more
you
retreat
should.
time.
You should go sit a 10-day. It's profound.
Hell yeah. I'm in. I'm in. Goenka feels I'm just worried Goenka's gonna feel like prison.
It does. It's like Dharma prison. It's like Dharma jail. I love it though. It's so
Yeah.
so intense. Like the practice is so intense and it's so structured. I mean, like 10 hours a day of sitting practice.
I
So, like,
love that.
you pass through stages of insight, like it's insane. When I got out of that retreat, like I was seeing when people would walk by me, I wouldn't see them as like as a solid movement. It was like just frames, like weird AMP shit. It was crazy. Weird stuff.
That's crazy. Yeah, maybe we'll do one together.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
It'll be crazy.
I'm going to try to sit one of those 10 days a year. So
Yeah.
where can people find you at and get more information about your half-day retreat coming up and just you in general? And
At Madeline Finn Music on Instagram and Facebook and all those things, or MadelineFinnMusic.com shows you all my music stuff. If you want to learn more about the half-day retreat, you can go to wildheartmeditationcenter.org. Yeah, that's about it.
sweet.
Yeah.
Hey, when are you coming to Florida again?
When am I coming to Florida? We're going to be there in August.
August. Well, be sure and hit me up and come sit with us. Or
I would really love that.
Come facilitate or something.
We're going to be there for a
Give
whole
me a day
week,
off.
and I'm going to need some time
Oh.
to come and sit with Sangha.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I got you covered.
Heck yeah. I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah, it's good seeing you too.
My heart.
I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and let's do this again sometime.
Yeah, go team.
See you later.
Bye, friend.
Thanks again to Maddie for being on the podcast. And again, if you want to check out her half-day workshop at Wild Heart Meditation Center on February 25th, you can sign up at wildheartmeditationcenter.org. Also, if you're in the Gulf Coast area and would like to sit residential retreats, there's a bunch of those available coming up very soon, and you can check those out at floweringlotusmeditation.org. And I'll be at all of those, so you can meet me and we can hang out and we can become best friends. Thanks for listening. This has been Dharma Junkie. I'm Justin. Namaste.